وارتضيناها شعارا للحياة إن تسل عنا فإنا لا نبالي بالطغاة نحن جند الله.
إلهي قد بكيت دما عليهم وقلبي موجع طرفي.
I mean, we were held in Guantanamo not because of any suspicion. People have to understand that that institution over there is just there for exploitation. They used every single tactic they can think of to break us, train their guards. I mean, most of the policies that you see happening around the world, they're coming from places like Guantanamo, Bagram, just experiments they go through, and then whatever works, they implement it outside, whatever doesn't work, they don't. But obviously, people will not understand that because they haven't been in that situation and they haven't experienced it.
أبيت وفي الفؤاد جراح وأسرى تقيض مضاجعي فأنا الأسير.
When I was held, interrogated in a solitary confinement room for a month by CIA and FBI and military intelligence, sometimes with a gun to my head. In the next room, during that period, there was a woman constantly screaming, and I could hear the words being shouted to her, get on the ground, spread your legs, screaming words to her, you bitch, and so forth. And at the same time, the woman screaming in a language that I wasn't sure that she was saying any particular words, she was just screaming and crying. They made me believe that that was my wife next door.
This is the moment Baba Ahmed, handcuffed and bent over, was brought into Charing Cross Police Station by two of the officers on trial. He was placed in a caged area until custody officers could process him. The CCTV played in court captured moments when Mr. Ahmed described to the jury he was in extreme pain. He said before entering the custody suite, he'd been taken into a corner of the cage where his feet were stamped on and he was punched. But the violent assault, as the prosecution told the court, began much earlier. The terror suspect described how, after officers raided his home in South London, he was hauled downstairs to a prayer room and forced to kneel with his head on the floor. He said,
"While I was in that position, one of the officers said, 'You're in prayer now.' After he said that, all the others began to laugh, like they were laughing at me, and another one said, 'Where's your God now? Pray to him.'"
Mr. Ahmed then described to the court what happened in the van. He said one officer knelt down and kept punching him 5 to 10 times, like he was very angry, or like he was having a fit or something. The university graduate added that he thought he was going to die in the van whilst en route to Charing Cross. But he said once in the custody suite, when the handcuffs were removed, no one did anything to him. He was examined by a large number of doctors, the court heard, most of them summoned by police. These photos of his injuries were taken by one who was called by his lawyer. Police constables Roderick James Bowen, Mark Jones, Nigel Cowley and John Donoghue, who were attached at the time to the Met's Territorial Support Group, all deny assault.
See again how America has shown its ugly face, how they have shown how they have hatred towards Islam and Muslims. We saw in an interview by Kamran Shahid for Pakistan Frontline, he interviewed the mother and sister of Aseer Siddiqui as they described some of the torturous events that went on in the time that she was in their American custody. She was forcibly stripped by 6 men and repeatedly sexually abused, beaten with rifle butts until she bled, bound to her bed by hands and feet, whilst the unspecified forms of torture were administered to soles of her feet and head, injected with unknown substances, being dragged by her hair, forced to walk on copies of the Quran, which have been desecrated in her cell. Are we really the Ummah Muhammad ﷺ? Are we really the ones that care for the situation of the Muslims? When Muhammad ﷺ said, "Whosoever forsakes a Muslim in a situation while he has the ability to help him, Allah SWT will forsake him on the day when he will want help from Allah." We see the position of Aseer Siddiqui, tortured, humiliated, and no one there to help her. Do we turn to the Pakistani government when we were looking for help, when they are the ones that have sacrificed the sister Aseer Siddiqui for measly gains of wealth and status and position in this world? They are the ones that have sided with the wolves as they eat from your flesh. Or are we going to turn to the UN, who ripped apart this nation, tearing flesh from bone, mother from baby, and have left no sanctity for the Muslims? Do we have to be deceived by the sweet words of the kuffar when they have nothing but hatred and animosity in their hearts? So it is time that we the Muslims turn around and stand for the honor of Muslims. Do not degrade yourselves anymore, O Muslims. You are the leading nation, as Allah SWT described in the Quran. You are the best people ever raised up for mankind. You enjoin what is good and you forbid what is evil, and you believe in Allah. And the Messenger ﷺ said, "Whosoever removes the grief of a Muslim, Allah will remove the grief from him on the Day of Judgment." Indeed, they wish to separate our hearts from the believers. As we saw when they mentioned the Quran, we felt their anger and we wanted to do something about it. But now when it comes time that the Muslimah, the one who believes in the Quran, the one who lowers her head in submission to Allah 5 times a day, are we going to turn our backs, or are we really going to stand up this time?
In May, a civilian jury in western Kentucky convicted Green of raping the teenager shown here as a young girl, as well as conspiracy and multiple counts of murder. At this house on March 12, 2006, Green allegedly shot and killed the teen's mother, father, and sister, and then became the 3rd soldier to rape the girl before shooting her in the face. Her body was set on fire at the home about 20 miles south of Baghdad. Inside the house, splattered bloodstains cover the floor and walls. Green told the judge he merely followed orders from other soldiers involved in the attack.
It's a shame, and what a form of shame, to see our brothers and sisters in the prison, in the hands of the Jews and the Christians and the Kuffar, in the presence of the Tawagheet who are apostate, who are putting the Muslims, scholars, da'is, activists, mujahids, and whom we can see in the screen how the chain in their own hand make their own hands bleeding, and how the darkness of the jails make their own body completely suffer. It is a shame, my dear Muslim brothers, to hear or to see the violation of their own sanctity, the violation of their own honors, and the violation of their own life, and we are not doing anything about it. Really shame that to hear they're crying, and to hear and see that they are punishing them, torturing them, using dogs against them, violate their own honor with some sexual means, and we still ourselves not moving, our hand tied, even we are not in captivities. We don't move, we don't do anything. Where is the brotherhood of Islam? Where is the brotherhood of the deen?
الفضايا ناس وانحبست الأنفاس والشعور والإحساس ما جرى مقبول شيء يهز الروح أودى بقلبي جروح بانت بكل وضوح ما عذبه مستور عادوا لنا الأوغاد تتفهم الأحقاد والشر فيهم زاد كبر طغى وغرور عادوا لنا الأوغاد تتفهم الأحقاد والشر فيهم زاد كبر طغى وغرور حقد الصدور بان في رسمة الفنان رسولنا ينهان وسط صحف الشور حقد الصدور بان في رسمة الفنان